Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here, coming at you from the KnifeCenter, and we've got a bonus episode of new knives for you this day because a lot of cool new budget options have hit the shelves recently, and there was too much to include in our normal Thursday episode. So if you've been on the lookout for some cool knives, everything on the table here is under $100, sometimes a lot less. So let's get into it. All right, we're going to start on the very affordable spectrum of things right here with one of those brands that I always have trouble pronouncing. It looks like Ruike or Ruike, but I think it's pronounced something like Rake, actually. It's tough because I do try to be a stickler or be as faithful as I can to pronunciations when I know what they're supposed to be, even though, you know, Kansept with a K, we'll get to later. I kind of throw them a little bit of a shade as well. But anyway, whether you call them Ruike, Reek, or Rake, or anything like that, a bunch of new models have just hit the website, and this is just a tasting of them. Starting though at just under $33, we got a pair of knives, the P661B and the P662B. And these things feel very, very nice, especially for the money. What you got? Black G10 handles, a sub 3-inch blade with Sandvik's 14C28N, which is an excellent material, especially when you can find it on a knife this cheap. It's not going to hold an edge like your S35VN or anything like that, but it is a very tough stainless steel and can take a very tough, finely refined edge as well. So it tends to outperform its edge retention specs a little bit, I have typically found. Same thing as stuff like AEBL, Nitro V, 13C26, those sorts of steels as well. Cool little shape. We've got a crowned spine with a full flat grind on that blade and a swedge that starts very small and swoops out broader as you get towards the tip before scooping up. It's kind of a cool signature element on a few of their knives that we're seeing right now, and we'll remove some of that drag, at least out near the tip section of these knives as you're using it. That's the P661 with the drop point. The 662 has this modified Wharncliffe blade. Again, roughly the same specs in terms of length. Blade steel's the same, materials are the same. We've got a liner lock on these knives, and it feels like some kind of washer system. It doesn't feel like bearings, so that's a nice rugged pivot. They pop open quite nicely though. Grip, it's about a 3.5 finger grip for me. I can choke up a little bit and can get a gorilla grip on that knife, but you can see I'm approaching the edge there as I do that sort of grip, but it is achievable. Just really, really nicely done, especially when you consider, like I said, it's just about $33. This next one is a larger knife for just a couple more dollars, and the steel is not as desirable, but you get a lot more of it. $35 with an 8CR blade, 3.8 inches long, again with that kind of signature swooping swedge, full flat grind, straight clip point, thin enough to be a phenomenal slicer with the geometry of that full flat grind there. I like that a lot. The frame is stainless steel with the frame lock. The lockup is phenomenal, and the handles are G10, a brown G10 in this case. The name of this knife is the rather imaginatively named D191.
Well, at least that's easy to pronounce.
That's true. So maybe they're responding to like, oh, people don't know how to pronounce our name. Let's just use letters and numbers for the blades. I mean, this is a lot of knife, and it's going to carry fairly easily thanks to how slim that is in the pocket. It's not going to offer the same comfort as a thicker handled knife under prolonged work, but it has got plenty of handle there to do bigger cuts when you need to, and that ease of carry is going to be super nice as well. Next up, jumping up in price a little bit from the same brand, about $55, we've got the P127. A Tanto bladed knife, a little bit Quaken inspired perhaps, maybe. 14C28N steel on this one as well, about 3.6 inches in length. Full length swedge, flat grinds on the straight portion and on the tip. The handles are G10, and we do have a liner lock here. Now you may be wondering why the big jump in price compared to the P662 knives. Yes, it's a little bit bigger, but why, for instance, is it, you know, $23, $22 more expensive? You've actually got more features kind of hidden here. Maybe not fully hidden, but you do have, for one thing, a glass breaker here at the back, but also we've got a secondary locking system right here that you can see on the spine. Slide that forward, and the liner lock is then fixed in place. So you cannot disengage that lock without first disengaging that lock on the spine side of the knife. I haven't checked yet. Let's see, does it work in the closed position? No, it doesn't work in the closed position. It's only to lock the blade open extra securely, but still pretty cool. As far as deployment, as you can see right there, super nice from that flipper. The action feels great. You've got pass-through pivots, or yeah, a pass-through pivot there at the front. It looks like it's, I mean, it's just a hex to adjust it, so it's still pretty standard. It's not a proprietary fastener, at least, or a proprietary drive type. It's another cool little detail as well. All of these are put together great. The edges feel super sharp. If you're worried, hey, what's wrong with them? There ain't nothing wrong with them, to be quite honest. Next up, we've got the P135 SF, the website's calling it reverse Tonto.
I'll take it.
In actual use, I'd say this is a bit more modified Wharncliffe-y in nature, but hey, whatever. Blade here, 3.6 inches long, 14C28N, stainless steel handles with a frame lock, and another secondary safety thing going on with that little tab right there. When that is pushed forward, that frame lock is not going to move out of the way. So you slide it back and close the blade thusly. Let's check out the flipping action. The detent is not super crisp on these. You can get it, you know, to do that if you're not trying, or if you are trying, anyway. But it is still a nice flip. Good feel in the hand. It's got enough for my slightly larger than average hands to get all 4 fingers on there. Big, solid feeling blade. A little bit thicker than some of the knives we've just looked at with the high flat grind, but not full flat, offering a bit more of a blend, or a bit more of a lean towards the robust side of things. Still gonna be pretty slicey though. But that's a nice pairing to the solidity and robust feeling of the frame lock, I would say. Very cool. There's another knife. I don't have the name of it here in front of me. Similar construction, similar handle shape, but with a harpoon-shaped blade as well, if you'd rather go with something like that. All right, one more folder from these guys, however you want to pronounce their name. The P873. This is the MB version, coming in about $56. About a 3.5-inch blade, 14C28N again, right here. Now the construction here is pretty cool. You've got a button lock, and it works great. For the flicking action, let's check out the flipper tab. Yeah, not as crisp as a ProTech Malibu, but it is, you know, 1/20th of the price, and it is good enough for sure. It's more than good enough. It's good. There you go. The handles, however, made of black micarta in this case, there's no real liners supporting them, so you've got a nice lightweight feel. Yeah, you can squish it a little bit, but it is solid enough. The actual mechanism housing the button lock, you can see a little bit of it right here. It's a folded piece of steel wrapped around the inside of the knife right there. It only goes back that much around the pivot mechanism. So all the strength is housed right up there near the pivot. The advantage of that is you've got a fair bit of knife with not a lot of weight. What are we dealing with here? 2.6 ounces. Not an ultralight compared to something like the Bug Out, but you do get more blade edge than the Bug Out at just a little bit more of a weight penalty. But if you weren't making that comparison, this would be an ultralight knife. Next up, a fixed blade, the F186. This is climbing up price-wise, comes in about $91. But as mentioned, everything here is going to be under the $100 mark in this particular video. We've got D2 steel on this knife, trailing point design, just over 4 inches in length. Great slicing flat grind on it. Not too thick, not too thin. Maybe slightly on the thinner side for an outdoor knife, but that's going to help in hunting tasks for sure. This has got a blade shape that's going to work great for skinning and slicing. The handles are black micarta. They feel very good in the hand. Love the shape going on. Not a sophisticated contour from the top-down view, but the contour that is there works very, very well. Thumb scallops there help with the pinch grips, and then on the protruding tang at the back, it is coming down, not to a point, but it is a smaller area compared to the full thickness of the tang. If you're using this as sort of a tactical device, you could certainly bash with that pretty effectively. I suppose it's kind of tactical-ish. It's not maybe aesthetically a tactical knife, but you know, if you know what you're doing, you could be pretty effective. The sheath, though, as it is set up from the factory, feels more outdoor focused in that you've got a nylon belt, drop belt loop here with an extra set of retention snaps, or a single retention snap, I should say, for it. But you could easily remove that if you want. If you want this to be, a tactical carry, let's see if a tech lock will fit this whole pattern. Yep, perfectly, right there. So you could carry this very easily horizontally on the belt. You could fit inside the waistband carry options for this if you want to conceal it, that sort of thing. You could do that with this very easily. All right, this next knife is from Kansept, that's spelled K-A-N-S-E-P-T, right? But this model is called the Niko. And you've got titanium handles on this D2 fixed blade with a cool bronze frag finish. 60 or just under $70 right now. Not quite sure, if I'm being honest, what the exact application for this knife is. All apologies to the designer Marco Pannella, but it's unconventional. D2 blade, 3.5 inches long, upswept Skinner style blade, and a karambit style finger ring at the back. Now for me, in a standard grip, that's the way I would want to grip this, because when I hold this with my index finger through that ring, my pinky feels little closer to the edge than I would want. If you have smaller hands, that could be a little bit different, but there is not an aggressive finger guard on this. It's kind of a gentle sloping thing, so nothing to really arrest you from sliding forward if you're worried about that sort of thing. In a forward grip, yeah, it's got some sliciness to it for sure. If I bring my pinky out from that finger ring, it brings the tip down, maybe a little more easily used if you're needing to use the tip to open a package or something like that. Pinch grips certainly work nicely. You could do food prep with this kind of shape, but the geometry is a little thick for that, I would say, due to the thickness. As you can see there, it's about 5/32 of an inch thick with a saber height flat grind. So a little bit slicey, but not the sliciest thing in the world. I wouldn't want to be, splitting a bunch of onions with it. But there you go. What would you use this knife for? Design aside, even though I am slightly puzzled by it, the quality is certainly there. Everything feels great. The sheath is Kydex, and I like their belt attachment system here. It's got a J-style hook, so you can take it on and off with ease, but it's not likely to come off accidentally. And it's set up for vertical carry, but by simply loosening these two screws, you could pivot that belt loop to go horizontal or anywhere in between, which is pretty cool. You can really tailor that to your carry preferences. And just because, let's check and see if a tech lock will fit it. If you want to swap out for that, yep, that'll work no problem as well.
You know what it is? Tactical cheese knife.
That is kind of a tactical cheese knife. Again, it's a little thick for that, Big block of cheddar might get bound up in that a little bit, but hey.
Some brie.
Butter knife is a brie knife. Another karambit styled blade here. This one with a bit more of a conventional looking design, certainly compared to the Kansept there, something a little more straightforward in any case. $75. This is a new version of the Cabox from Kizer, a Jonathan Styles design. 3.36 inch blade, 154 cm steel, American-made steel, and a nice drop point. Thin enough, full flat grind, going to be a great slicer. And despite the prescriptive grip that a finger ring style knife usually gives you, there's actually more to it in how you can hold this knife. You do have some thumb scallops here at the front. If you want to get up there in a pinch grip, you can do that. The fuller on each side of this knife actually provides another nice place to grasp with your fingers in a pinch style, or something like this if you're doing a reverse or a type of chest lever grip or something like that. That is doable. Not like a good bushcraft knife, of course, but it's still doable. And this one plenty of length in a reverse grip for me and my slightly larger than average hands, and much more of a index finger guard here for accidental slippage there. Overall, super, super nice feeling. Just shows you can get a lot for your money these days. You really can. Carry style for this. Kydex sheath set up with 2 horizontal belt loops with snaps so you can get them on and off easily when you want to. And let's check the tech lock. Not tech lock compatible. Is it small tech lock compatible? Let us see that. Not quite. Be easy enough to drill a new hole in this if you wanted, but you will have to do that if you want a different, or if you want to attach a tech lock. Some of the other systems out there that are a little bit more modular than the tech lock, though, should be able to work with this, no problem. Next up from Kizer, we've got the Bowtie, a Henning Markson design, and this one is all about utilitarian, heavy utility style utility work. Said utility enough? It's because that's what this blade kind of reminds me of, a utility knife blade. Good bargain here, $42, D2 steel, so you've got a lot of edge retention in this price bracket for sure. Acute tip, full flat grind. You've got strength and slicing in this knife. You've got an index finger ring on the front side here, which if you're looking for something that's really gonna, keep your digits secure, this is going to be a very good one because very hard to slip forward with a design like this. Yeah, if you lose your grip, it could spin around on you, but yeah.
Don't lose your grip.
Don't lose your grip. But it's a knife. There's a sharp edge. They need to be handled and respected as sharp-edged tools, after all. Let me just see if I can... Yeah, if you've got smaller fingers, this might be more comfortable, but I'm a little cramped doing something like this. But that's an option.
The most awkward pair of brass knuckles I've ever seen.
Watch it and cut myself while I take these off the fingers. See, you need smaller fingers to do that than what I've got. Could do that maybe. That's really secure actually. Anyway, there's a black version as well. Is it black stonewashed or just black? Yeah, it looks like just a straight black finish. And the sheath here is also Kydex. It is set up with a J-style clip. Very nice for inside the waistband, very nice for your belt loop, or on your belt if you want. Maybe not quite, it's borderline pocketable, I would say. An ulti clip might be a good option if you wanted to do that with this knife. And man, a tech lock looks just barely not lined up with those holes. So there you go. But yeah, that is, what was this? The Bowtie. I like it. Next up from Kizer, they've brought their Cormorant, their popular button lock flipper, down to a more affordable price range compared to the originals. $69 for this version, and the steel is downgraded from some of the more premium versions, but it's still good stuff. It's Nitro V. Remember I said when I was talking about 14C28N, good amount of toughness from this stainless steel, which helps the edge stability, which helps it seem like the edge is lasting longer because it's less likely to actually deform on you. Good stuff. I like it. 3.17 inches long, reverse Tonto blade shape.
Good job.
And a retro gaming inspired handle. You know what I'm talking about. It's very Tetris-like, I would say. So might others. That's pretty cool. It gives you a distinctive look and it gives you some grip as well. It's essentially a mini frag grip, basically. G10. Reversible pocket clip, which is cool because that button lock is very easy to use with the left hand as well. And you've got multiple opening methods. You've got rear flipping, as you can see. You've got front flipping. And I can do this, even though this is a distinct front flipper, because the detent on a button lock knife is not as strong as a liner lock or something like that, typically, which makes it a little easier to do. And then you've got the blade cut out for either thumb opening or the reverse flicking that everybody loves so much. Grip-wise, if you want to stick here behind in this cutout that gives you a little bit of index finger protection, for me that leaves me about a 3-finger grip, but plenty of space here to choke up and get a full grip on that handle for sure. Hollow grind on the blade keeps things nice and narrow behind the edge. It's another thing that pairs well, I think, with that Nitro V steel. Next up in the button lock genre, we've got the QSP Kali, K-A-L-I. coming in about $73 for this one. Is that the least expensive one? It might not be, because this one has the cool champagne finish on the blade. Just checking the prices here on the site real quick. Looks like $69 for the satin blades is the point of entry for this series. We've got like 12 different flavors on the site right now. You can go check out the different colors and finishes. It's a pretty cool knife, 3¼ inch blade, 14C28N, full flat grind with a clip point and a compound tip, essentially. You can kind of think of this as combining traits. It's sort of a blend between a Tonto and your standard clip point. Because instead of the tip narrowing down in a more distal taper, you've got more consistent thickness as it gets towards the tip, and then the shoulder is beveled away, as you can see right there. The coating really helps you see that difference right there. So you get a little bit more strength behind the tip than if it were done the other way. The handles are G10. This is the Twizzlers flavored variety right here. Pairs really nicely with the color of that blade finish, I think. And it's got a little bit of texture, but it's not rough. It's just a really nice looking thing. The button lock works pretty nicely. Not quite as nicely as the Kizer, I would say, but nice enough. Thumb studs work great. You've got deep carry pocket clip, which is reversible, with a blockout plate on the front to keep things nice and flush when you're not using that side. Grip-wise, 3.5 finger grip for me. You do have a finger choil, however, to get up into. For me, my fingers are a little bit on the larger side, so I wouldn't want to use that in terms of touching the back edge right there, but a fingertip for some detail work is going to be nicely done. And if I just straddle the index finger guard here with my index finger, I can get a nice full grip on that knife. Great geometry on this thing, cool features, and very distinctive with this finish and that grind especially. Next up from QSP, you've got, I don't know why I do these things. You've got the Ripley, a Keanu Alfaro design, $75 for this. Fair bit of knife for it too, 3.5 inch blade, 14C28N, again, drop point, full flat grind, chamfered edges. That is a fantastic do-everything blade shape right there. And the handles, plenty roomy as well. I've got plenty of room right there. Even if I were wearing a set of work gloves, I would have, I would be getting the full usage out of this handle for sure. You've got a few milled in valleys for some extra grip and some style, of course, too. Ooh, the action's nice. Oh, action's really good. This is not the first crossbar lock we've seen from QSP, but it's the first with just a conventional barbell type of lock design compared to their Vault that has a little more fancy stuff going on. Man, it just feels really nice. One thing I appreciate about this design in particular is, you've got the ability to get pretty close to the edge on this handle right here. And I say that because the trade-off with a crossbar locking design, to get the ability to do that, is oftentimes you will have a bit of the tang protruding here when it's in the closed position. Some folks don't like that because, for aesthetic reasons, or they worry about it getting snagged if you're going into the pocket. The way they've kept it nice and flush below the line here, I wouldn't be worried about snags with that at all. So it'd be very smooth in and out of the pocket, and you get the advantage of all of that handle length behind that usable blade. Very, very cool. Rounding things out, deep carry pocket clip, fully reversible. This is a fully ambidextrous knife, which is quite nice. You've got that blockout plate there on the front. And several flavors to choose from, as is typical from QSP. Next up, two more crossbar locking knives. These are both from Boker. This is the Hebdo, coming in at just over $90 right now. You've got an elegant drop point here, just under 3 inches long, about 2.8 and some change, with Nitro V steel and a stone-washed finish. Haven't talked about stone-washed finishes yet today. Shall I?
I can't stop you.
You could cut it out, though, in the edit. Is this going into?
Absolutely.
Stone-washed finishes I like because they look good even when they get scratched up, because it's not as garish of a, it's not as out of place looking as on a more pristine looking finish. So it's nice, helps things last longer in my opinion. This is a cool, very slicey blade, nice and thin, almost a full flat grind, very nice. Handles are G10, very neutral elliptical shape. So even if your hands are large, no problem. When you're kind of falling, your back fingers falling off the back of that handle, it's not going to present any issues, in my opinion. Deep carry pocket clip, it looks like it's reversible, but the front side is not milled out to let the clip sit in the handle dimensions itself, like it is on the right-hand side. But it does appear that you should be able to use, flip these around and use those two screws for a left-hand carry, which is good because crossbar locks are very usable with the left hand, which is nice. We've got some custom caps on the crossbar right here, making it easy to grab onto and slide the lock back out of the way so you can do that wrist flicky thing that crossbar locks are known for and flick it out. Here's what I was talking about by hiding the tang angle transition here with the handle. This is another interesting way to do it because it is so rounded over here. It's literally just kind of a circular radius centered around the pivot. You can still use all of this handle. It's not a aggressively peaked finger guard that lines up with the tang transition right there. So you get all of that. You get all of the use of the handle. I can get all 4 of my fingers on there, no problem when I do that. And you don't have the visible tang transition, which again, some folks don't like. It's never really bothered me, but if it does for you, this could be an option to look at. And next up from Boker, a new version of the Rockstub from their Magnum sub-brand. These have been super popular, just under $30 right now. You got a 2 5/8 inch blade. Nice stout feeling drop point. It's stout but slicey, if that makes any sense. Because the geometry is not, or the thickness is not too aggressive, and you've got enough of a height to the flat grind there that it slices well, but it has the feeling of strength. Likewise, the handle. You've got aluminum on this version with a reversible deep carry clip, which is quite nice. The action on their crossbar lock is also quite nice. No tang transition on this knife either, but this is another one that you can still get a full grip on, quite honestly. 3 fingers, 3.5 fingers for me, but when I choke up over that area, that's a solid feeling grip over this compact blade. If you like a smaller knife, but you don't like to feel, like they're too small of a knife, good option for you here. The steel here is 440B, so it's not your 440C in terms of edge retention, obviously. Maybe similar to stuff like the 8CRs of the world, which at a $30 price point with the level of quality we see here, I'd say is respectable. Not going to set the world on fire, but respectable. Next up, another 440B bladed Magnum with a 3-inch blade, the Huayna, coming in about $26.
You can't pronounce anything today.
Basically. Maybe that should be the theme of this video instead of, the budget thing. The Magnum sub-brand has really picked things up these last year and a half or so, especially. They feel more modern. They feel, more tightly put together in a good way. Just nicer. Here we go. 3-inch blade, a bit of an elliptical drop point shape, full flat grind. You've got a nice neutral handle shape with the blue G10. They do say blue G10. I hesitated because CJRB calls this color gray. But it's definitely a bluish gray, like a slate blue? We'll go with slate blue, perhaps.
Gray is the color of slate.
But that's why I appended slate with a blue. Because that slate blue sounds better than blue-gray. The nice thing about this handle shape is big hands, no problem. Even though it is a knife on the smaller side, it's not a restrictive handle shape, which is cool. We've got a liner lock. We've got washers in the pivot. It looks like one of brass and one of either nylon, probably nylon, I would say. So, it's built to a price, certainly, at $26. The blade itself and the feel of it when activated, however, nice. Just nice. A lot you can get for not a whole lot of money these days. And last but not least, one more crossbar locking knife. This is from Browning, actually, the Buckmark knife. And it is, as far as I know, their first crossbar locking knife. But here it is, it's about $36, 3.3 and some change on the blade length, cool drop point shape. Very thin blade stock with a high flat grind and a swedge that should slice exceptionally well. I can't actually speak to the edge retention on this knife, however, because they simply tell us that it's stainless steel. Bit of a letdown there because everything else, like, it's got nothing to apologize for, this knife. We've got aluminum handles, crossbar lock feels good. The flipper is actually done pretty well, which for those who know, like, even Benchmade has had trouble with, you know, integrating a flipper tab and their axis lock mechanism and getting it to feel snappy and what people want from a flipper knife. And this feels pretty good. Deep carry pocket clip on the right side, can move it to the left. So full ambidextrous capability has been maintained for this knife. Check it out if you like. Check any of these out. Let me know what you thought of the knives right here. And let me know what your thoughts are on, you know, affordable knives these days. What do you like? What don't you like? Conversation is happening in the comments section down below. And if it's not, that means you get to start the conversation. If you want to get your hands on any of these knives, check out the links in the description, and that will take you to KnifeCenter.com, where don't forget about our long-running Knife Rewards program, because the least thing we can do when you buy one of these knives, budget or otherwise, is give you some free money to spend on your next one. I'm David C. Anderson from the Knife Center, and that is Thomas behind the camera, and we're signing off. See you next time.